In this video, we're going to do a couple of percent application problems that use the basic idea of taking a percentage of a number. And so when you think of the word of in math, I want you to think of multiplication or times. And so if you ever hear a percentage of a number, so for example, if you need to take 40% of 35, you should write down 40% as a decimal, so 0.40, and then of means times and multiply it by 35, and that'll give you your answer. So 40% of 35 is 12.8. And then you can always use estimation to see if you are in the right ballpark. So 50% is half of a number. So half of 35, you can look at 12.8 and just ask yourself, does that seem like it's a little less than half of 35? And yeah, that seems reasonable. But hopefully you also have a calculator to double check your answer as well. And so let's jump into this first example. So for good service at a restaurant, you decide to give a 20% tip on a $45 bill. And so that $45 bill already includes taxes, so we don't have to worry about that. How much tip should you leave? How much is the total you will pay? So I'm going to show you how to do this with a calculator and then also just using some mental math because that's handy when you're dealing with tips at a restaurant. So if we're trying to take a 20% tip, we're taking 20% of, so there's our math word again, that means multiplication of $45. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take 20% and we're going to convert. So we're going to convert 20% to a decimal. And so the way we're going to do that is we're going to take 20%, we're going to drop the percentage sign, and we're going to take the decimal and move it 2 spots to the left, which is the same thing as dividing by 100. So we get 0.20, and then we're going to multiply to find the tip. So we're going to take 20% as a decimal, so 0.20 times $45, and you can use a calculator to do that, and you end up getting $9. And so that's your tip. But that doesn't answer the question because the question says, well, it answers part of it. So how much tip should you leave? So you should leave a $9 tip, and then how much is the total? So for the total, we're just going to take our bill, which is $45, and then we're going to add the tip to it, and then that's going to give us our total of $54. So a tip of $9 and a $54 total. And then just real quick, because this is a handy thing in case you're out and you want to calculate a tip without using a calculator, if 10% is a really easy tip to do in your head. So just remember that 10% of anything, we're multiplying by 0.10, and that's the same thing as dividing by 10 or moving the decimal 1 spot over. So if you have a $45 bill, moving the decimal place 1 spot left gives you a 10% tip. So you don't have to do anything with a calculator. Right off the bat, a $45 bill is $4.50 would be a 10% tip. Well, if you want to leave 20, all you have to do is double that. So 450 plus 450 is $9. And so that's a way that you could do it in your head without even using your calculator. So the second example says find the sales tax and total cost of a phone that costs $199.99. The tax rate is 6%. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to convert 6% to a decimal. So we're going to take 6, we're going to put the decimal place at the end of the number, and we're going to move it 2 places to the left, and we're going to get 0.06. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to calculate the tax. So to calculate the tax, we're going to take 6% of the total. So remember, of means times again. So we're going to take 6% as a decimal, which is 0.06, and multiply it by the cost of the item. So $199.99. And when we multiply that, we get $11.9994. Okay, so it keeps going on. And whenever you have the situation where you multiply and you get an amount of money that goes beyond that hundredths place, or the second number after the decimal, you're going to always want to round to the hundredths place because when you're dealing with money and sales tax. And so to round to the nearest hundredths place, we identify the place, which is right here where this 9 is. We look to the right of that 9. That 9 tells us to increase the 9. Now the problem is that 9 can't go any higher. So what we do to that is we end up changing it to a 0, okay, and we increase the next digit. Well, the next digit can't increase, so that increases to a 0, and then we increase the next digit which is a 2. So $11.99 not 0.999 is going to round to $12 if we round to the nearest hundredths place. And so the tax is going to be $12 for this item. And then, so that answers the first part. And then the total cost is just going to be $199.99. And then we're going to add the $12 of tax. And then we get $211.99 total. And then lastly, so if we have a shirt listed at $34.99 but is 30% off, so off means it's going to be deducted from the price. What is the sale price of the shirt before taxes? And so the first thing that we need to do, just like these other problems, is we need to convert 30% to a decimal. So 30%, we write 30, we put the decimal place, we move it 2 spots to the left, and we end up getting 0.30 as a decimal. So we convert it to a decimal, and then we're going to take 30% of $34.99, so multiplying. So 0.30 times $34.99, and that gives us 10.497. And we're going to round just like the last problem. Since this is money, we want to find, so this is our discount, we want to find what our discount is to the nearest cent, which is the nearest hundredths place. So we're looking at this place value right here. The 7, we look to the right, the 7 tells us to increase this 9. So this is, the 9 can't go any higher, so we're going to make this a 0 and then go to the next place value and bump that up. So it's kind of like saying, how do we bump 49 cents up? Well, we bump it up to 50 cents. And so this is going to be $10.50. That's going to be the discount. That's the percentage off. And so the sales price is just going to be whatever the shirt was, so $34.99 minus that discount of $10.50, and that gives us $24.49. And so that's going to be the sale price of the shirt before taxes, because we didn't do anything with tax.